Hi, this is Tanya from Flying Dog Studio. Thank you for joining me. In this video, we will be taking a look at the black and white underpainting for a piece starring my nephew, Jack, as Doctor Strange. As you can see, I already have the contour drawing done for this piece. This video will be strictly the black and white underpainting for this work. We will have a part 2, which is going to be the color piece, as you can see on the screen from my layers, that I do have some color layers up on the screen, and that will come in a second video. For this one, I really wanted you to take a look at how I lay down my layers before I start a piece. I always do the black and white underpainting. That's always the base of all of my pieces, whether it's going to be a black and white piece or a color piece. And if you take a look at my layers, my very top layer is the name stamp. Then I have a watercolor filter. That is a watercolor, it's a photo of a watercolor piece of paper that I have put in as a top layer for this piece. And I've turned the opacity down on that to about 20%. Then at the end, I'm going to have some smoke layers and different elements, but you'll notice that my shading layer and my drawing layer are above all of my color layers, and that's very important. As you can see, I am shading in this area with my very favorite pencil, the Peppermint pencil brush. If you're using Procreate, that is found underneath the sketching brushes. If you're using another app for drawing, I recommend something that gives you a pencil texture and turn that opacity way down on the brush. It's always better to start with light layers and then add on top. And you can see that's what I'm doing here. I shade it and then I come back and I shade on top again. That allows me to get the correct value for the piece. Something I like to do when I'm shading is to turn off the drawing layer and check my values. And that's what you just saw happen here on the screen and I'm doing it again. I do it throughout the piece. I like to turn it off and on. Sometimes I like to just freehand all of these shapes that are in. When I'm making this contour drawing, I am not concentrating on every single item to draw. I only want a brief overview, just kind of draw in some of the areas where I'm going to be shading, and I like to do a lot of this shading freehand. Now, I said earlier I like to shade lightly and go over it again so that I can get the correct values. Another benefit of shading in this manner is to create a nice, smooth texture on the material, on the skin, on the hair. Something that I do like to do, a little trick when I'm working with a piece that has super dark values, as his clothing does, I like to duplicate the layer. And when you duplicate the layer, you're going to increase that intensity on the darkness, and it kind of saves you some time. Now you will notice as I'm shading that I jump around from the cape to the elements on the cape to the hair to the skin. All of these things I keep on a separate layer. That way I can adjust them individually, and at the end I can combine them into the one layer that you saw at the beginning of the video. Now for any app that you are using, you're going to be limited to the number of layers depending upon the size of your canvas and your DPI. For Procreate, I was using a 16 by 20 canvas at a 300 DPI. That limited me to about 19 layers. That's why you have to be pretty particular about how you use your layers and be careful to combine them whenever you can. As we are coming to the end, you're about to see my name stamp pop up on the screen. There it is. I tell my students to always put their name on their work, especially anything that you put online. Anyone can do a screen grab and claim your piece as their own, and as hard as we work on these pieces, we certainly don't want that to happen. As we are at the end, if you have any questions on digital art, on my process, on this particular piece, please feel free to leave me a comment below and I will get back to you as soon as possible with an answer. I hope that you will join me for part 2 when we are going to color Jack as Dr. Strange. And I want to thank Jack for being my model for this piece. Thanks so much for watching, everyone.